Okay, we are working on projects that move data eventually into an enterprise data warehouse. But before you set that up, there's a lot of steps involved that you need to run through prior to getting your data warehouse set up. Usually the first step is to create what is often called an operational data store. An operational data store, as it sounds, is your operational data, but it is housed in such a way that it is a collection of all your operational systems. So for example, operationally, you probably have an ERP system or enterprise resource planning. A common platform for that is SAP. And so you would want to draw information from SAP, or it could be JD Edwards, or it could be Microsoft Dynamics. But that doesn't have all of your enterprise data in. Generally, it is operational data. There's another part of your business that has equally important data, but it's disjointed or encapsulated in a different system. Often that's called a CRM. A good example of a CRM would be Salesforce, salesforce.com. There's also Microsoft CRM and other products that are out there, not integrated deeply or at all into your ERP system, and yet it's an important component of data that you would need for an enterprise data warehouse. Then you could have maybe an internally developed system. It could be internet facing, it could be just within your brick and mortar building, but it will also have data that would be important to integrate in an overall enterprise data warehouse. So how do you do that? How do you collect the information from each of these systems into a data warehouse? Well, the first point is to collect it all in an operational data store. This is a single platform. It could be on-premise or in the cloud. And I'll just draw a picture of it here and label it ODS for your operational data store. Now, the operational data store is populated primarily using a replication approach. In other words, it's not transforming the data into something that it is not on your operational system, but you're simply moving that data. And you can take your operational data store and really divide it into a couple of different layers. Let's call the first layer the landing zone. And so you would be pulling information from each of your operational systems directly into the landing zone. The landing zone, as it sounds, is just a convenient place for you to accumulate a lot of data, but it is not transformed. So in other words, if you have 1,000 tables in your ERP system, you would have 1,000 tables or up to 1,000 tables in the landing zone of your ODS. The key thing is you've moved it from disparate platforms, some could be in the cloud, some that could be on-prem, and you've moved them now into a common platform. This could be SQL Server, this could be Postgres, this could be Azure SQL Database. There really isn't a limitation on where you would place this, but you would want it on a single database. The next step is to open this up for consumption. So the ODS is both a staging area for your EDW, but it is also a platform that allows your users, your data scientists, your people doing analytics, direct access to these tables. And so oftentimes the ODS would have a consumable part, and this consumable part would have all of the source tables combined together as again, separate tables. There's no conformity, there's no modeling. It is simply an accumulation of all this data. Now, if you think about the data that's moving in, some of this is sensitive. It could be HR related information, could have personal information in it, salary, etc. So the landing zone is restricted in terms of access, but the actual ODS uses a strategy which is to bifurcate or split each of these tables into a sensitive and non-sensitive area. So we're going to call this a hybrid. It is ODS inaccessible is what it really means. These are tables, and these tables would represent up to 2 copies of each of the tables in your landing zone. There's finally a view, and the view is going to bring together, however you bifurcate or split the tables from the landing zone into the ODS, back together again with the security that has been applied. Now you have a space within your ODS that you can make accessible to data scientists and your analysts, anybody who needs information and has been granted access. And that's usually done in 2 ways, an RBAC policy and an ABAC policy. RBAC means, can I see the file at all, the table? Can I see the table or the schema the table is in at all? That's role-based, so based on your role with an organization. But then there's ABAC, which is attribute-based. So you may be granted full access to a table, but not necessarily to all rows in that table. A good example is sometimes it's geographically sensitive. So if you're based in the US, you can see it, but Canada cannot, and vice versa. If you're based in Canada, you can't see US data. So it's the same table, but based on the attribute of one of the columns within the table, you may or may not be able to see that particular row or that set of rows. So that's the first step in creating your enterprise data warehouse, is to collect this information from multiple sources, move it into a common platform. The good news is you have a usable area for all of your data, assuming you apply appropriate security to each table. And now the next step is to model that into your EDW, which we'll talk about next time.